Hello everybody, and welcome to another one of the occasional series of videos I'm doing on setting up my Kurzweil K2700 keyboard. I hope these are useful to those of you who have this keyboard and the PC4 and maybe some other Kurzweil keyboards which may have similar architectures. So what's today's video about? Well, I have a tonewheel organ MIDI expander. It's a Ferrofish B4000 Plus, and the organ in that doesn't sound too bad, but the rotary effect isn't very good. So I wanted to try putting that expander through the K2700 rotary effect using the K2700 audio inputs. A side effect of this is that in the K2700 you can only have one KB3 tonewheel organ program in a multi, and if I wanted to emulate a two-manual organ it would be useful to have the expander as an input as well, even though I still only have one physical keyboard to play both. So in this video, first I'm going to set the K2700 up to play the module via MIDI from the keyboard. Then I'm going to add the rotary effects to the audio inputs, and then I need to configure buttons to control the rotary speed, the vibrato and the chorus settings. And so the last of those entails setting up FX mods and an FX function, so this video will give you a simple introduction to that feature as well. So I already have a suitable sound set up on the organ expander, as you can see on the screen there, and it's quite a nice little unit with physical drawbars, and it's got 3 manuals potentially, but we'll only be using one today. So in this patch I've removed all of the effects, so there's no rotary or reverb or chorus or vibrato coming from the expander itself. So we're going to start with the default multi, 2047 clear multi, as you can see on the screen there. And one reason I'm using a multi is because I believe I have to separate the control of the expander via a MIDI connection from the control of the effects, and so I'm going to use 2 zones for that, as you'll see later. So I'm going to save this clear multi as a new multi so that I can do the editing, and hopefully I'll be able to speed through this part of the video so you won't have to watch me doing all the renaming. So here we have our new multi that we can edit. So first of all I'll set up zone 1 to play the expander module. I've already got that connected via MIDI. So I'll edit the multi, and zone 1 is active. I'm going to select program 0, which is none. On the main page I'm going to set up transpose to 12 semitones because that's the register I want to play the expander in. Now this is an important setting. We're going to set this destination to MIDI only for this zone, because all I want to do is play the expander. I don't want any MIDI signals to go to the K2700 itself. The expander is set up on channel 5, so I'm going to select MIDI channel 5, and we don't want any program changes being sent to that module, so I'm going to set entry prog change to off. Now on the controls page, just for convenience when playing, I know tonewheel organs don't have a sustain pedal, but I'm going to set up a sustain pedal. So using the shortcut of pressing the enter button and the sustain pedal, we select that. I'm going to change that to on. Momentary destination is 64, I think, for sustain. There we go, on value 127, fully on and off value none, entry state none. So while we're in editing zones, I'm going to set zones 3 and 4 to muted because we won't be using those. So zone 3 and 4, back to the overview page. They're already muted. So I'll set those to program none as well. And we will save the multi and exit. So there we've set up some basic settings for the multi, and we should be able to play the expander. So now we'll set up the audio in. Now there are some global settings for this, so I'm going to look at global, and if we go to audio I/O, there is a setting for analog in FX. It's set to yes. There is also a setting no, in which case some others disappear. But I haven't found that this makes any difference. So I'm going to leave it set to no. And I'm going to exit from global. So setting up the audio in, first of all turn the volumes down. It's always good practice before you plug something in. I've already got the module plugged into the audio sockets. I don't need high Z on because this is not a guitar or an instrument requiring that, it's a line input. So now we will try playing and adjusting the volumes. I can just about hear it. And I'm turning them up until I get a signal on the LED there. So you can see the LEDs have gone green, and so that's about the right level. That'll do. It's slightly quiet, so I can turn the main volume up. So now we need to set up zone 2 for the effects. So let's edit the multi, and we'll make zone 2 active. And we'll select a clear program, which is 2047. So that's a clear program. But since we don't want to hear anything from that program, currently we hear a default piano, I'm going to set the key range to nothing at all. Then we can just hear the organ expander. Save that just for safety. So now we're going to edit the program within the multi, and we're going to save as our own program. So I'm going to save that as 8001, and I'm going to rename it, which I'll try and speed through on the video. So that will do. Now on the main page for this zone, and you can see we now have zone 2 selected. That's important. We're going to set to local only. So this one, we don't want any MIDI messages being sent to the expander. We just want everything contained within the K2700. So that's local only. I'm going to select channel 1 to control the effects, and I'm going to turn off any program changes. Now on the controls page we want to go to button 2, and we don't want this to mute the zone, so I'm going to turn that off. So using the shortcut to go to button 2, we're going to turn that off for the moment. Now if we go to the audio in page, currently it's set to use global mode effects. What we want to use is multi-specific effects. So I'm going to select a simple rotary effect from the K2700. Now this isn't the best sounding one, but it's actually simple, and it's simpler for this video. It only has 2 boxes in the effects chain. Most of the rotaries have 4 boxes, and we'd end up editing things twice. So for the purposes of video, I'm using a simple one. If you do something similar, you might want to use one of the more complex effects. So I found that 325 was usable. I'll just scroll through to that. I could be using the keypad. So 325 is a rotary 122. So now we're going to edit that effects chain while we're here, and we're going to save that as our own effects chain. And I'm going to rename that again. So now we have our own rotary effect that we can edit. And now I play, you can hear that that's got the rotary effect, and it's got either vibrato or chorus. So in this effects chain, those are on by default, and we'll turn them off and control them in just a while. So we need to match the control channel with the one for this zone, and I selected 1, so control channel 1 is what we want. I'm going to save that for safety. So now we need to set up controls for the effects. One is the rotary slow fast, which is going to be on the variation button, and then we need chorus vibrato on off, which is going to be button 2 as labelled. Selection between chorus and vibrato on button 3, and the depth control on button 4. So we'll start with the slow fast. We'll select the audio in page, and we need to edit the effects again. Now I often get this error, effects chain not loaded, but the second time you try to edit, everything's alright. I can't explain why that is, seems like a bit of a bug. So we've got 2 boxes in this effect. The first is the vibrato and chorus effect, and the second is the actual rotary cabinet. So we need to edit box 2, and this has currently got speed set to fast, as you can hear. So if I set it to slow, it does slow down. It's kind of obscured by the chorus effect, but now that's slowed down. We've finished with that, so we're going to save that and exit from editing the effect. Now we need to set up an FX mod to control that speed. So let's go to the mod 2 page where I know there's space. So we need to add a control for box 2, and we need to select the speed parameter. Currently the adjust value is set to slow, which is what we want. The source is off, but we want to change that to MIDI 29, which is the variation button. I'll tell you in a little while about where to find these physical controllers. So I'm going to go through to MIDI 29, 3, 4, 5. MIDI 29, and we want the depth to be 1. So we'll save that and exit. So now on the controls page, we need to link the variation button with that speed control. So we need to select zone 2, which is where our control is, and using the shortcut, select the variation button, turn it on. Toggled is the correct thing for it, so it's toggle between slow and fast, and the destination is going to be MIDI 29. And on value 127, off value 0, and entry state we want to be off because I want the Leslie slow when we select the multi. So save the multi and exit, and now we should be able to hear the affected variation button. So I can hear it there, it's a little bit obscured, so what I can do is just bypass the chorus. So if we bypass that, you can hear the effect of the Leslie slightly better. So let's take that bypass off. Save the multi just in case. So now we've set up the variation button to control the Leslie speed. Just as a bit of a tweak, we can actually name it more helpfully. So if I edit the program, then we can add a new parameter with this button here. It comes up as destination 1, which you can't choose, that's okay. I'm going to rename that. Once again, I'll try and speed through it. And if we go down to rotary speed, then we set that to MIDI 29 to match everything else. MIDI 29, value 0 is fine. Save the program. Exit from that. Save the multi. Exit from that. Then when we press the variation button, we should see rotary speed. Therefore, we've just named the parameter. There we are. That's a little bit more helpful. So now we go ahead and start editing the controls for vibrato chorus off and on. So we go back to our audio in effects. And this time we're going to edit box 1. So both the on and off switch, the vibrato chorus in out, and the vibrato chorus depth are controlled by FX mods. So we're going to go and have a look at the FX mods. So in mod 1, we find Vib chorus in out. It's in by default, as you've heard. We're going to change that to out. The source, we want to change to button 2, which I know is number 81, so we have to find 81. So paging through, 78, 79, 80, 81. Now for some reason Kurzweil have named this CTLF. I can't find that in the manual anywhere, and I've asked questions on the forum and it just seems it is what it is. But that is the right MIDI number for it. And since it's a button, we'll have depth 1, and that's what we want. So we'll save that and exit. Go to controls. Select zone 2, which is where our control is coming from. Go to button 2 and turn it on. We want this toggled as well. The destination for this one is going to be MIDI 81, as we saw. MIDI 81. The on value is going to be 127 as usual, and off 0 entry state. We want off when we enter this multi. So I'm going to save that, exit. Now we should find that it works. So we have our two separate controls. Now the depth for the vibrato chorus is a complicated thing. We've got 2 buttons, but we've got 6 settings: vibrato 1, 2 and 3 and chorus 1, 2 and 3. And there is only one parameter in the FX block that selects all 6 settings. So I'm showing you a table on the screen, but the numbers that I deduced were appropriate for each of those 6 settings. And I worked this out by assigning a knob to the parameter, varying the knob slowly and listening for all the changes. We want buttons 3 and 4 to control these settings together, and there's only 4 combinations of 2 buttons, so we're only going to be able to get 4 out of the 6 settings. And the ones that I was able to obtain in the method I'm going to show you were vibrato 2, vibrato 3, chorus 2 and chorus 3. Now this may all be easier when you're editing a KB3 program, as these parameters are already in the parameters list for a program, but we're not doing that, and so it's slightly more complicated. What we'll do is use an FX function to combine the 2 buttons to produce the numbers that we want, but it's far too complicated for me to explain in this video, except the one thing I will say is that you have to refer to the K2700 manual to get full descriptions of the FX function. The descriptions don't appear to be in the K2700 manual. So again, we'll go to edit the effects and get the usual error. We edit box 1, which is the vibrato and chorus. we've already got it controlled by FX mods, as we noted. So going to FX mods, I'm going to change Vib Chorus to V2. So this is the first of the settings that we're going to achieve. The source needs to be FXFUN 1. Now I don't know how to find this. I didn't find a shortcut to it, so you have to page through everything until you find it. There it is. And the depth that we want to set for this one is 5. I'm showing you the table on the screen again to show you roughly how I work this out. Now to set up the FX function, we go to the FX LFO Plus page. We choose FXFUN 1. We need input A to be button 4, which is MIDI 83, which, as you can see, is CTLH. Input B is going to be button 3, which is MIDI 82, 80, 81, 82. And the function we want is A divided by 4 plus B divided by 2, because I found that this combines the switch values in the way that we want. And the shortcut to this one, rather than scrolling through all the functions, I press 5 on the keypad and enter, and that takes you straight to this function. Save the effects and exit. Now we need to go to the controls page to link up controls. Make sure we're on zone 2. Now we want to go to switch 3. We're already on switch 2, so I'll just scroll up. Turn that on. Once again, toggled is fine. The destination is currently off. We want to set this to MIDI 82. On value 127 because it's a button. Off value off, and the entry state is off, which is what we want. Now we want to set up switch 4 in zone 2. Turn that on, toggled is fine. This wants to be MIDI 83. Now I can just press 83 on the keypad and enter. Again, the on value 127, off value 0, and the entry state off. Now while we're here, we'll go to zones 3 and 4 and just check that, so we don't want mute zone coming up for zones 3 and 4, so we're going to turn off switch 3 in zone 3, and we're going to turn off switch 4 in zone 4 because we don't want them coming up on display. Save and exit. So let's see where we are now. If I play something, switch the chorus vibrato on, you get the first of the vibrato settings. Change the depth. That's the heavier vibrato, V3. If I go back to set the chorus, that's C2, and that's C3. And here's our Leslie control. Now this video is getting long enough already. You could go into the control program 8001 and add new parameters to title them for chorus and vibrato on off and the chorus and vibrato depth, but this video is long enough already, so I'm going to leave that for you to do if you want to. So if you really want to do something simple in your keyboard, I've prepared a PDF of the steps which you can download from my Dropbox, and the link will be below the video here. I've done a multi with a better K2700 Rotary effect for my own use. As I say, I had 4 or 5 boxes, so there's a lot more editing of parameters to do, but they use the same principles to do it as I've shown you in this video. So watch out for more videos as I learn more about vast architecture. Meanwhile, you can have a listen to some of my music on my channel. It's kind of smooth jazz with some ambient tracks. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.